before going to talk about the story or the plot of this particular work, let's us be introduced with the writer, that is Gurujada Apparao. So Gurujada Apparao is actually a Telugu, writer. He is known famously as Gurujada, full name, and is most remembered for his play Kanyakullam. A Kanyakullam is a word that is made up of two root words. Someone's mic is actually on, so I will suggest you to turn it off so that it won't create any kind of echo. Yes, thank you. So Kanyasulkam, what I was saying is that Kanyasulkam is actually a word, is a compound word which is made up of two different root words. One is Kanya, another one is Sulkam. So Kanya means obviously a newly married bride, or you can say simply a girl, right? A girl. And Sulkam means is a kind of tax that we have to pay for something. So Kanya Sulkam, this particular term itself is self-explanatory, and it's giving us a kind of a context that what we are going to see in this particular book. So it's a play and that had stormed in the Telugu literary scene with its unique combination of wit, humor, linguistic brilliance, and also social relevance. The name of Gurujada is associated with social reform movements in the Telugu country at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, like the abolition of bride price, widow remarrying, and the anti-notch movement. So these are some of the social evils with which this particular writer was fighting about. And this particular work, this particular play is also about such kind of evil practices that we had in our society once upon a time. So let's talk about that one. So let's jump into the story, right? So Kanyas will come, as I say that, okay, it's a kind of price that we had to pay, or it's a kind of, price that we were, offering, or when we were buying a bride or selling a bride. Okay. Madhuravani, the muse of Grisam, during the beginning of the play, and that of Ramappa Panthulu is in the rest of the play, is portrayed as a very righteous, wise, magnanimous, and able woman who is willing to even bend over backwards to help someone in need. It's very true that, okay, whenever we are going to talk about religion, we are going to talk about philosophy, mythology, and all other things, we always show that, okay, women are respected. They are the goddesses. We adore them, okay? We do all kind of respect in terms of religion, in terms of, mythological aspects, rituals, and all these things. But in case when it is in practice, we show our actual, behavior or actual instinct, human instinct, male instinct. Okay, so that's what this particular work is going to talk about. The first thing that he's introducing is that about two muses. Okay, if you will ever gone through any epic poems, it starts with addressing some muses or the goddesses. So what he is saying is that Madhuravani, the muse of Girisam, during the beginning of the play, and that of Ramappa Panthulu, these two goddesses or the muses in the beginning and the rest of the play is portrayed as very righteous, wise, and magnanimous, and able woman who is willing to even bend over backwards to help someone in need. Okay. This way, the play sought to take on the prejudices and practices of contemporary Indian society head on. Let me check once. I hope that you are able to listen me.
Yes,
if
sir,
there,
we can.
Yes, sir, it's clear. Okay, sir, audible.
If there is any problem regarding the voice, please do let me know once it is breaking. Okay. Anyway, so the play includes a few gut-wrenching scenes, such as one where I do not want to pronounce this name because my pronunciation will be very wrong. So Agnihotra Vadunulu. Okay, it's a Telugu name, so it is very difficult for me to pronounce. An egoistic male chauvinistic Brahmin and a key player in the play barbarically slams his food plate on the face of his young widowed daughter. So it's not only talking about the system of buying or selling a bride or a girl in the process called marriage system, okay, in the system called marriage, but it's also talking about the brutal, it's also talking about the rigid system of patriarchy that we had in our society. So widowed daughter, when she requests that her reconsider his decision to marry his pre-pubescent daughter to an old man. The practice of parents arranging the marriages of their pre-pubescent, that means the girls, those who are in the age of puberty. Okay, in the age of puberty means they are not even teenage, or they're at the beginning, in the beginning of their teenagers. So the practice of parents arranging the marriages of their pre-pubescent daughters to old men for cash was very prevalent during those days and was referred to popularly as Kanya Sulkam. So this system that was prevalent in our society was known as Kanya Sulkam during that time, literally meaning money in lieu for a girl, money in exchange for a girl. Okay, in simple term, we can say that money in exchange of a girl, which also forms the title of the play. This is the definition of the title, that when you are earning money or you are making women as an object of selling and earning something, is what is known as Kanya Sulka. The play also depicts amusingly the practices of Orthodox Brahmins, such as Madi, with a particular character in the play even shriveling away from everyone and everything like a touch me not, lest he might lose his sanctity. He even has to perform some religious cleansing for the things someone touched before he can touch them. So it is not only a kind of taboo, or it is not a kind of behavior that we had much earlier, but it is still there in some of the rural places, that if you do not belong to the upper caste, if you do not belong to the particular sector of a religion, and probably if you are going through their property, if you are going in a crowd and by chance if you have touched them, or any kind of activity has been done by you, that is a kind of offense for those people. They will wash it, they will clean it like anything. Okay. However, the play also has numerous lighter moments, notably regarding the marriage of the stingy old man, that is Lubdha Vandunulu. Okay. Much of that comedy occurs as dialogue between Girisam and his various love interests, and also during the marriage of that particular character to a boy disguised as a girl. So here, the play has a kind of touch of that Renaissance age as well, where we has a lot of plays where we use comedies, we use wit. That's what I said in the beginning, that this play has a combination of wit, humor, and linguistic brilliance and social relevance as well. Contemporary Indian society is depicted in a very real fashion without glorifying it, so that it has the effect of being in your face. Numerous interesting characters spring up during various points of the play, such as the widowed owner of a local food court, referred to as the Putakulla, Munda. The word in quotes being an offensive word for a widow, originating from Mundan, meaning shaving in Sanskrit and Telugu, because during that period, a woman had to have shaved her hair off after her husband's death. So it was a kind of evil practice that was going on in the society. And this particular man, Gurjada, he had to fight and he championed the cause of the movements for the reformation of language used in Telugu literary text, and also he fought for so many evil practices like bride price, widow remarriage. Okay. However, they are very much similar in their notions and prejudices to the people one may see in any Indian village even today. It's very true that okay, we can still find such kind of practices, not the in extreme level, like we don't have sati, we don't have bride price, but in some portions you will find some religious prejudices, you will find some mythical prejudices that is still existing and practicing by some portion of the sector of our Indian societies. So in Girisam, we can see that kind of a young man who is opportunistic, yearns for momentary pleasure, desires easy desires easy money, and is unwilling to work for the simple reason that he is too fickle-minded to hold any particular job for a considerable amount of time. He's so unwilling, in fact, that he wouldn't think twice about taking the easiest path to fulfill his desires, even if he is trampling upon someone else's life while he is on his way. So this is also another aspect that is being present in our society as well, that when some people are becoming very crazy about earning, they do not bother about that who is there in front of their path. They will simply stumble, they will simply treat them, and they will fulfill their own desires. He claims to be progressionist, but claiming is all he does. In Meenakshi, we may see a woman who might have been widowed even before she hit poverty. So it's a very sad part of this character, that a character is there called Meenakshi who become a widow even before she could have reached to the stage called puberty. So maybe before the age of 10, she got or she became a widow. She was therefore paying for a mistake that was anyone's but hers, and was being accused of being unfaithful to a husband, and she did not have. Ramappa Pantulu is a middle man and very incompetent one at that. He tries to twist and turn every situation of his favor, but ends up being entangled in the very mess he himself created in the first place. He is a victim of his own making. Probably Madhuravani and Puttakulla Munda are the only characters who have a strong moral footing and maintaining their standard throughout the play. There are no surprises, shocks, or suspense regarding the characters of the persons and flaws in their characters, if any, are laid out clearly by the playwright. So this is a kind of critical analysis of the plot or the story of this particular play, that is Kanya Sulkam, and it's talking about the evil practices that we had in our societies when the females were being treated brutally, and if they got widowed, they had to suffer a lot, and this particular man has, plotted a story in such a way so that we can have a kind of, idea about the past that our ancestor had to face. So we have very less time. We have 3 classes and we have a lot of works to do. So what we are going to do is that rest of the cases, we are going to do. Probably most of the long text has been covered, like the novels and plays we have covered. There is another beautiful text. That is Saguna by Krupabai Satyanandan. So let's talk about that one. And for that particular text, I would like to ask you to go through the book that you have with you, and you please refer to the book, unit number 4, where we are going to talk about Krupabai Satyanandan's Saguna. Have you turned on the pages? Page number 28, probably, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So Saguna is a novel written by Krupabai Satyanandan, and it's a kind of autobiographical novel, and it was written in English as well. And the novel raises some important questions regarding family system, regarding gender, regarding religious freedom, man-woman relationship, and so on. It's talking about the conversion process. It's talking about the conversion. It can be a conversion from Hinduism to Christianity. It can be a conversion from Islam to Christianity. It can be conversion from any other religion to other religions. So it's talking about the effect or the craze that we had to go through during the time of the colonization, and the changes we were doing during that time, based on some people were changing their religions because of the facilities they were getting. Some people were changing their religions because they were being underrated and also tortured because they belong to a very small group of, or in a very small group in a small coterie or caste. So that's why they changed their religion. And after that, even some of the upper caste people also had to go through certain kind of changes because of some philosophical issues and spiritual gain. But because of these changes, they had to face a lot of things. So this particular novel is going to talk about these issues regarding family, gender, religious freedom, and also man-woman relationship. So now let's talk about what is Saguna actually. Saguna is a novel written by Krupabai Satyanandan in 1895. It brilliantly depicts the waves that the advent of Christianity created in a conservative and multi-stratified Indian society of the 19th century. So it's talking about, or it's taking its context from the time when Christianity was actually creating a kind of conservative and multi-stratified Indian society of the 19th century. It focuses on the conflict between Indian life and Christian influence. So it was 1895. That means almost like 50 years later of the Macular's Minute that we had. In Macular's Minute, we say that, okay, Macula suggested that some missionaries will come in India to promote their language, like English language, and also they will spread their religion, that is Christianity, right? So maybe it was the peak of the time when people were converting and changing their religions, some 50 years after the Immaculate Minute of 1835. So it's talking about or focusing about the conflict between Indian life and Christian influences. Conversion to Christianity becomes another reason for excommunication. This is very common. Still, it is common in our societies. It has not been erased from our mind. If a person, for the sake of anything, it is his right or her right, whichever religion he or she wants to follow, they can follow. We are not going to bother. But what is happening is that if you are changing your religion because of certain, philosophical, transformation, spiritual transformation, whatever you are feeling, if you're changing it, no one is forcing you to change, but if you're changing it willingly, even though you're willingly changing, people from your own family will also excommunicate you from the family you are belonging. So this is another issue that was prevalent during the time of this conversion. Okay, that for excommunication in a society where there were already certain sections that were excommunicated, and it is very true that okay, it was not for the first time that okay, people were being excommunicated. Apart from the religious excommunication, there were also some other kind of excommunications based on caste, profession, and religion. It's not only about the conversion. Okay, so the communication of Saguna's family is not inherited. It is not descended from her ancestors. It is inflicted as a punishment for choosing to break the rigidities of the society. So the problem that she had to go through was not actually inherited. It was inflicted as a punishment for choosing to break the rigidities of the society, not to follow the norms that was there in that particular society. So the spiritual longings of an upper caste intellectual, that is Harichandra, turned him into a social rebel. See, even an upper caste, maybe upper caste Brahmin, intellectual who changed her religion, or who was changing his religion because of spiritual longings, he was turned into a social rebel. He was being, under the discussion of the people, and he was treated as a rebel. He's a rebel against the mainstream religion of that particular society. So society alienates him and humiliates him. His mother poisons him. See the brutality. See the kind of hatred people had when you are changing your religion. His mother herself poisons him, saying that it is better not to have such a son who has polluted the tradition. So it's better to kill him than to see him following another tradition or polluting the mainstream religion. It is only his wife who stays with him and provides moral support. The concept of pollution, which is one of the main beliefs and practices of Hinduism, is extended to religions like Islam and Christianity. It is not a mere pollution of the family, but a pollution of the society, the tradition, and the religion. Thus, Harichandra's choice for another religion brings in excommunication and alienation. This was very common, and one of the aspects that happened with Harichandra, who belongs to an upper caste. Now, there is no doubt that a radical change or decision in those times, but this decision does not come out of the suffering and struggle of existence. This change does not come out of hope for life and livelihood. This decision does not come from oppression, segregation, and exploitation. Even after this change, survival is not a question. Thus, the excommunication as a result of this decision is temporary, with neither survival nor with livelihood affected. This decision is a result of spiritual aspiration, which include the service of downtrodden. So what is going on? If a person is suddenly changing his religion, see the religions that we have right now in our societies, it is actually a kind of solution towards problem, towards chaos. But right now what we are doing is that we are fighting for religion. But to be honest, religions has occurred or descended into this human civilizations only to save human beings from cruelty, from brutality, from savage activities, and show them right path. All the religions have same kind of morals and ethics. But we people who are believing that we are here to save the religions, is the religions which are there to save humanity. But when you are taking the responsibilities to save a religion, you are actually a fool. You are not supposed to do that. Anyway, this decision is a result of spiritual aspiration. The changing or the conversion is a spiritual aspiration which includes the service of downtrodden. So when you are changing a religion, you will become very humble. You will become very pathetic towards the problematic situations that the lower class or the people, those who are suffering. You will become very compassionate towards everybody. You will feel that okay, the entire world is your home. You will become a person who will believe that okay, all the world's people are his or her brother and sisters. It will create a kind of a feeling of brotherhood among you, brotherhood and sisterhood among you. Okay. So Saguna depicts characters who become untouchables after embracing Christianity. Okay. It will be very interesting to read the issues of conversion in Saguna in juxtaposition with other writings of different types in different Indian languages. No doubt conversion was a very crucial factor that influenced the life and society of 19th century India, and it was a colonial heritage. Okay. It was a threat to Hinduism, the dominant religion of the majority at the time. Okay. Just a minute, hold on. Okay. Yeah, so it was a great threat. This kind of process, the process of conversion, the process of changing religions was a great threat to Hinduism, the dominant religion of the majority at that time. And apart from the practicable change in lifestyle, conversion also meant losing out members to other religions. So it doesn't matter that okay, simply you are changing the religion. It also matters when you are changing the religion, you are not only leaving that particular religion, but you are actually decreasing the number of the practitioners of that religion, especially for a religion like Hinduism, which decides various criteria of pollution and untouchability. Conversion to a religion like Christianity, which came from another country, posed a challenge to Hinduism. Okay. Thus, conversion of Christianity was listed as one of the criteria for excommunication. Okay. So during that time, because most of the people were being converted into Christianity, and it was prevalent during that time, kind of missionaries were there. They came to promote their religion. They came to promote Bible. They came to promote Christianity. So people were being attracted to that particular religion. There was no other religion like that during that time. So that's why people were being attracted, and they were trying to, or any kind of changing was happening during that time. And it was a kind of threat to the dominant religion of the time, that is Hinduism. Okay. But Harichandra's mother herself tries to poison him, reveals what a blow it was to the family and how scared the family verge of excommunication from its community. So his mother poisoned not because that his son had changed the religion, but because she was afraid of the excommunication. That okay, not only her son will be excommunicated, but the entire family will be excommunicated from the society, thrown out from the society, thrown out from the group or the coterie or the society that they are having right now. Now compare this situation with Vaka's dilemma of conversion to Christianity in Murkraj Anand's Untouchable. So we had gone through this particular novel as well, Untouchability, where we had seen that okay, Vaka was under the dilemma of conversion to Christianity, whether he should change, he should accept Christianity or not. It is not just the question of Harichandra's, deciding to embrace Christianity and Vaka deciding against it, but it is much more than that. How does conversion or non-conversion change Vaka's life? How does it change his identity? What is the comparison between Harichandra's excommunication and Vaka's untouchability? How does conversion become a choice or a compulsion in different contexts, and why? It is also interesting to think of Dalit literature where Christianity and conversion are very important issues that come up for discussion time and again, since these two are closely related to the identities, politics of Dalit movement in various ways, while Harichandra buys excommunication by choosing to become a Christian, untouchables have found Christianity as a boon to escape from excommunication that they have experienced since ages. See the two ambivalent aspects of the society. A person Harichandra, a person like Harichandra who chooses Christianity and had to face excommunication, it was his will. Can you please mute yourself? Somebody's mic is on. Please mute. Can you please mute yourself? Somebody's mic is on. Anyway, thank you. So see the conversion into Christianity. Once it was a choice, and once it is a compulsion. So there is a kind of a conflict between choice versus compulsion. So in case of Vaka or in case of the Dalits, those who had to suffer a lot because they are not only colonized by the Britishers, they are colonized by the Indian upper caste, and the women into that society are not only colonized once, twice, thrice, but fourth time. They are colonized fourth times. So in order to get rid of such kind of colonization, such kind of bondages, they found a kind of they found Christianity as a ventilation to came out of these cages, and that's why they choose Christianity. Christianity to as a boon to escape from excommunication that they had experienced during that time. Okay, so these are some of the thing that has been explored into this particular novel by Rupa Vai Satyanandan, and under the character of Hari, what is the name? Harichandra. Okay, there are certain questions in your book. You can go through that one as well, and at the end, you can also go through the aspects that has been explored over here, like how religion has been used. There is the concept of new woman. You can also go through that one, and there is also a passage called colonialism. So it has been written over here. You can go through that one. And don't forget that, okay, when you are going for your exam, please do read the summaries or the let's sum up portion of each of the chapters, so that units, so that you can get an overview of the entire unit. Okay. Now, what is the third unit we have is probably about Tarudat. Yes, Tarudat is a very young poet. She is often compared with John Keats, probably. John Keats, the greatest poet of the Romantic age of English literature. She is also compared with that beautiful and great poet of the Romantic age. Tarudat is actually a very young poet, and she died at a very early age. And in this particular chapter or in this particular unit, we don't have any specific text. The title of this unit is From Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. This is the name of a collection of poems that was published posthumously after her death, much later of her death. And this particular book or anthology, along with some other like works like a sheaf gleaned from French fields, and some other books like Blood of Jesus. One more important thing is that she is very famous for writing some beautiful poems like the Lotus or Casuarina Tree, Sita. These poems are very famous. These are very short poems, and these poems are not only talking about some aspects of nature, but also talking about spirituality and mythology. And also talking about the social realities of the time and some blood relations, kinship. This aspect has been upheld by this young poet Tarudat. Tarudat was born into a cultured family. She had a father who was a linguist and a poet, and a mother who translated Blood of Jesus into Bengali. So she was a Bengali poet, and she later on converted to Christianity. Not only she, but her family, entire family, and traveled to Europe, and finally returned to India in 1873. And she knows many languages. She knew many languages, like she knew Bengali, she knew Hindi, she knew Sanskrit, she knew French and English. So she, in such scenario, we can say that okay, she was a polyglot. Her readings of French included Victor Hugo and the feminist novel George Sand. A sheaf gleaned from French fields is a reflection or is a result of her, connection with French culture. Published during her lifetime consists in translation from French into English and also includes a poem by her French, Amon Perry. So anyway, in this particular chapter, in this particular unit, relevance of Tarudat's poetry today, the relevance of Mead and Tarudat, then Tarudat as a woman poet, we can have such kind of subsections into this particular chapter. So what I will do is that I will give you an overview of this chapter. So what I was saying is that Tarudat was a remarkable woman because she died at a very young age, maybe at the age of 20 or 21. And within this short time, she had contributed a lot in the Indian English literature. She wrote a novel, she wrote poetry, and she wrote, she has done many translations as well. And during this 19th century saw the emphasis on English education, like Macaulay's Minute strove to make Indians only physically Indian but mentally English. Woods Despes stressed the need of university education to emphasize English not only for communication but for intellectual discourse as well. See, whatever notes I'm forwarding to you, whatever it is, be the plot or the overviews of the chapters, please do forward with others so that others won't face any kind of difficulty to understand them. Okay, I didn't share the note regarding Macaulay's Minute. I will forward it today. Please do forward along with this note that is there on the screen. So please do forward it in your group if you have a group. Otherwise, share with somebody and ask them to share. Okay. So 19th century was very much influenced by Macaulay's Minute and Woods Dispatch. And both these Woods Dispatch is actually known as the Magna Carta in the history of Indian education system. And Macaulay's Minute is also one of the founder, or you can say the foundation that built the ground or the foundation of Indian higher education system. Women were introduced to education with a little stammering of writing skills, history, arithmetic, but there was an emphasis of hygiene and needlework and moral education so as to make them better homemakers and companions to their unurbanized husbands. The women question was also a significant one in the 19th century India. The question of women, right? 19th century means it's the time of the Victorian age. In border history or European history, will say it's the Victorian age, 19th century. During the time, we had a discussion about female and their rights as well. Okay. So the question of women was significant during that time. There were efforts to abolish sati, and the fight for widow remarrying was going on. Women's education took its first step, though it was still given to make them more accomplished wives and mothers. But the positive side of it was that they moved out for their homes, even if it was for a conversation of conservative education. However, only a few Indians were English educated, and they were writing for this small elite as also for a Western audience, even when they were getting published in India. But they appraised and they aspired to be published outside the country. So when Tarudutt was writing, she was a kind of, you can say that she was a bridge between the Eastern culture and the Western culture. And her works not only published in our country, her works were also publishing in the foreign, printing presses as well. So women's writing comes out of a gendered consciousness. They may sometimes write on topics that men do not write about. They may also write on issues that men do, but from their own perspective, the questioning or subverting certain existing notions. So when a female writer is writing about their own issues, and also a male writer is writing about the female issues, there will be a certain gap and there will be a certain difference, because a female cannot write as good as about a male can write about themselves. Similarly, a man cannot write about female issues as a female can write about themselves. Anyway, myths that are embedded in our psyche may be questioned either overtly or subtly. Depending on the perspective of the person, a myth may come in for a certain kind of revisioning, right? So myths are also important. And Indian society, Indian civilization, Indian culture are full of mythological, stories and histories are there. So we have a heritage of mythology. So we have seen how Tarudutt, while giving us the story of Eklavya, the story of, Valmiki, the story of Sita. These are some of the characters in the poems that I have already discussed. Like our Casurinatory is there, Sita is there. Then we have the poem like the Lotus. In these poems, she has beautifully depicted these characters, and these characters actually are characters from our mythologies, right? So today we live at a time when the issues of class, caste, gender, race, etc. are being interrogated quite vehemently. Though Tarudat is not radical, she raises these questions in her own manner and becomes a kind of forerunner to such rewriting. Okay. So you do not have any specific poem, you do not have any specific text from Tarudat. What you have to do is that you have to study about Tarudat herself. Okay. Who was she? What was her contribution in the Indian English literature? What were the developments of the 19th century India and the impact on the writings of Tarudat? You can also consider her as a woman poet. Okay. And also you can consider about the importance of writing and rewriting about the myths and context in Tarudat's poetry. For the sake of that, what you can do is that you can go through any one of the poem like Sita or the Lotus or the Casurinatory, any one of them, and you can write your notes based on the explanation of that particular text or poem. Okay. Now there is another thing that we can also have to that we also have to complete is a comparison between the thoughts of Buddha and Karl Marx. One is a person who fought for the class system, upper class, lower class, middle class. And another one is a person who set selected, belief system, or you can say religion. So both of them have their own point of view, and in between, B.R. Ambedkar had his own suggestions. So it would be easy if you will go through page number 45.
43.
43 and 45, yeah. 45 is the actual comparison between both of them. 45, point number 6.4, comparison of the means. Means here the ways they were adopting in terms of their own philosophies. Buddha has his own philosophy and Karl Marx had his own philosophy. One was a Marxist theorist who was talking about the society. One was connected with politics and other things. Another person was connected to religion, philosophy, and spirituality. So that the way of perceiving life was completely different for both these men. Means are important issues that we may have to consider first and foremost when we are talking about a destination. So how or what we are taking, or which path or which methodology or methods we are applying to do a particular work or to reach to a particular destination. So that has been explored over here, and it's a very beautiful comparison. If you have time, please go through it. Today we are not going to have any kind of discussion over it. In the next class, as we have almost completed most of the text from block 2, so in the next class we will try to wind it up, block 1 and block 2, and if possible, we'll also have some kind of discussion of some portions of block 3. So I'll forward this, text and also the notes that I shared in the very first class with you. Please do forward with your other friends so that they won't ask me separately. Okay? Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Yesterday's notes and today's, no, sir?
Uh-huh.
Yesterday's and today.
Yeah, yesterday's and today's, and also for the first day when I was talking about Macaulay minute, some handwritten notes were.
Yesterday's we got, sir.
No, you didn't get that one probably. I didn't share that. And the very first day when I was talking about Indian education system, when I was talking about the Macular's Minute and the East India Company, I didn't share that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll forward that one as well. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Please do share with your friends so that they won't ask me. Okay. Thank you. Have a good time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.